All right, everyone, welcome to the Culture Shock Abroad podcast, where we talk everything Jamaican culture, whether it's food, whether it's travel, whether it's dating a Jamaican man, all the things then we talk about on here. But we want to do something very specific and very important this season. We want to help people who want to get into entrepreneurship, to give them a path for success, especially if you're just coming to the US from Jamaica or the Caribbean, anywhere for that matter, and you want to start a new career, you want to see what the options are. I want to bring guests on that can give you a good insight on in what has been working for them, some of the tips, some of the things that you need to be looking out for, and some of the culture shock experiences that may impact how much money you can make here, because money did it for everybody, and we want to make sure that we all win. So I'm going to bring my guests on, and we're just going to chop it up every week, or I'm going to try to be a little more consistent with this, guys, but you have to keep me honest and comment and all of these things just to make sure that we can all win. So today I have a very, very special guest. So I've been watching her on social media for quite some time, and I've just admired her growth and how she has been able to build a brand, build a community, and just produce excellent work across multiple platforms that seems so effortless. And so when I was just drafting a list of everybody that I wanted to interview, she was like one of the top people I wanted to talk to, and I just wanted to make sure that this was an opportunity for her to kind of share, and she was so willing to do it. So I'm super excited about what you'll be able to take away from this episode and how you'll be able to learn from her. So help me welcome Kerry-Ann Spence, born and grow Jamaican.
Hey everybody, I'm nervous.
I'm nervous. Who said that? I'm nervous. Somebody on Instagram says that.
I'm Kerry-Ann Spence. I go by the name Castiles on all social platforms. Kass is the acronym for Kerry-Ann Spence. A shout out to my husband, who used to call me Mrs. Kass, and so I decided that that would be the name, and I added Stylz because, you know, a girl got style.
Of course.
I am so appreciative of Charmaine for inviting me to speak on her podcast today, Culture Shock Abroad. I am extremely grateful for this opportunity, but for more than one reasons. One, there are things that we need to talk about, and some of us don't talk about it. And two, I want other people, meaning Jamaicans, to know that moving abroad does not mean that you get stagnant or you stop doing the things that you love to do, but it's an opportunity for you to advance and excel in something that you actually love. So during my day-to-day, 9 to 5, 7 to 4, whatever time frame it is, I am a full-time teacher. I teach 4th grade math. I've been teaching this is my 17th year, but fashion has always been the center and at the forefront of like everything I do. I'm Jamaican, so going to high school, I did clothing and textile. I don't know that in a CXC. And I got a 1, which means that I did very well. I'm proficient. And so I wanted to be a fashion designer growing up, but I come from Jamaica, like.
Find something else.
Who are going to send me to fashion school? So graduating high school, I went straight into teaching. I did internship at an infant school in my community. And then I applied for Teachers College. I went to Teachers College, St. Joseph's Teachers College, Joseph Heights. And I taught in Jamaica for like 7-8 years. And then I migrated to the U.S. Charmaine has questions, so I don't want to like give away too much. So that's my brief introduction.
No, awesome. That was good, because it's good to kind of like frame your journey so people like fully understand that you're about it.
Yes, I'm about that life.
So first of all, you mentioned St. Joseph's and all LP. So where in Jamaica are you actually? born and raised and from?
I am born and raised in St. Catherine, because everybody no come from Kingston. Kingston is smallest parish. Everybody no come from Kingston. On the top tell
God,
people
it's
so no come from
true.
Kingston, because no come from
From
around one part.
The outskirts.
Mm-hmm. So I am from St. Catherine in a little community called Arkansas, where the breeze is fresh, the river part my grandmother land into, and I had a jolly good time growing up, climbing the hills. My grandmother went to the market on Saturdays, and as a child, I had to help her to get her market produce ready for the market. And trust me, like those days helped me to be the person that I am today, to be like very resilient, because that's who my grandmother was. She was my first fashion teacher, because that lady could dress and comb hair. Yeah, that's what it's in my blood, okay? So, yeah, I'm from St. Catherine. I went to St. Mary's College for high school, and then St. Joseph's Teachers College, and then Northern Caribbean University.
Okay, cool. Did you have to wake up early?
Oh, Jesus.
So are you still a morning person?
I am definitely not a morning person. I've never been a morning person.
You're rebelling.
I've always been rebelling. Like, you can ask my husband, do not have an appointment for me. I only get up and go to work because
you have to be there early.
I have to, and I'm not early.
Because I know in the country or anywhere that you need to do anything, for some reason, grandparents and parents can't sleep in their bed past sunrise. Mm-mm. So if them can't sleep, neither can you.
Oh, my grandmother said, "This is a son about down Jamaica."
Them so dramatic. Like, so dramatic. Like, nothing is going to happen if I sleep to 8 o'clock.
What? Especially on a Sunday morning?
Weekend was it. Because the music on, you start smell the breakfast from early. So you have to, you go on, get up. The music on, everything is sweep. Then you just hear the door bust. And it's like, get up.
I got away with it when it came to the point where it's like I was in control, because my grandmother got older and me around the show. So me get it. But before that, nope. Before the cock crow.
No, it's serious. But I think it just, outside of not being, because I'm not a morning person either. Like, don't try to get me up before 7. I think it does teach you resilience, as you mentioned, because you know that you have something that you're working towards every day and you need to make sure that is done. Mm-hmm. You have to get up and get it done.
Yes.
So even if it's not the early morning, you still have it in you. So there's value in that upbringing, being raised in Jamaica, especially by your grandparents, especially by, well, for me, I have older parents, so it was like having grandparents. But that teaches you that you need to get up, no excuses, and get it done.
None. You have no excuses. So for me, I know that I'm not a morning person. I'm a night owl. Like, I will be up, or that's when I come alive. Like, I have a YouTube channel, and I'm at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, I'm just putting on my makeup.
No, I get it.
To do a YouTube video.
At night when people are like winding down. That's your
time. Obi is dead asleep.
Because they be going to bed.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just up like all these things are, like, all these ideas are floating in my head. And I'm like, oh, I have to get it done.
Yeah. How long have you been away from home, from Jamaica?
This will be my 10th year. So July will be year 10.
And you go back and forth?
I do. If I could go every weekend, I would.
That's the beauty about living in Florida, guys.
Yes.
Like, it's
I just came back from Jamaica last week, Sunday.
Yeah, that's listen, that is it. That's what I'll tell people. Like, when I was living in New York, it was, first of all, I don't like cold, so that was already.
I understand how you just left from tropical Jamaica and just got dropped in New York.
Talk about culture shock. First of all, talk about culture shock. New York was the biggest culture shock ever, because obviously the New York that you see on TV is not the New York that you see, and more than likely you're going to be dropped in a Caribbean community. And unfortunately, those communities are not lined with gold,
Right.
So you are in for an awakening. So when I got off the plane, And first of all, I was spoiled on the flight because I got on and I had my brother's ex-girlfriend was a flight attendant and she moved me to first class. So obviously I'm just feeling like extra hype.
You're
No,
that
get
girl.
out, that girl. So I get out, my cousin comes to pick me up, and obviously I thought I was gonna like drive past the Empire State Building. Right. That is how delusional I was. Like I thought the Empire State Building was right outside. I don't know, maybe was watching Home Alone and that weird. So I'm driving and I'm like, first of all, what's happening on these streets? You know, where is the excitement?
Where's the New York that you see on TV?
I get to Brooklyn and I'm just shocked. I'm just like, that was the first culture shock. I woke up in the morning, I'm like, y'all sure you dropped me off at the right place? Like, is this it? But then that's like the reality of foreign.
Yes.
That was like the beginning of, and we'll talk more about that, but that was the beginning for me of like, this is real life.
Yeah.
It's real life,
This
and
is not TV
it's
foreign.
not TV foreign, and there's so many layers to that. And so what I wanted to get into, like I have a list of questions here, and I just wanted to get into like when you came here, like what was one of the biggest culture shock for you? Because that's what we talk about here. Being from a small community in Jamaica and coming to the US, what was maybe one or two things that you just couldn't believe?
I think I have like 3. So the first one was the food. Because I'm me greedy. I'm not ashamed to say that I spend my money on food.
That is excellent.
Because me not dead for hungry, me eat any hours a night. Me not watch no weight, me not watch no weight.
See, that's the difference now. If I see food, I gain weight. So I'm very happy for you that you're able to do that.
Eat for me and you.
Thanks.
So the food, when I went to restaurants, I would be like, what am I going to eat? So for me, pasta was the thing.
Okay.
Like you can't spoil pasta. You can't go wrong with pasta. So it doesn't matter where I went. Don't even ask me. The food gonna be pasta. Okay. If I go out with my sister, she be like, she kind of know like my palate, what I'll eat. So she'll try to order something that she think I would like. And then their spicy is not spicy. So, and I love spicy food. So the food was number 1. Number 2, I'm a teacher. So when I started to work in the school system, which was maybe like a year after I came here, because when you move from a different country that you did not have a degree from the United States, you have to make sure that you send it to get evaluated to make sure that it's equivalent to everything that they have going on. And I had to go through all of that process. I had to send my transcripts, high school, college, university to get it evaluated. I remember the name of the company, Joseph and Silney. And so when I eventually started to teach, I remember I was working in a call center. Like I did it for like a year because I had to find something to do.
Yeah.
And I remember my husband dropped me off when I went for the interview for that job. And we drove up to the place, and there was like a bunch of other people coming in for the interview as well. And I'm looking at how they're dressed. And I'm like...
Yeah, I know exactly.
I remember my husband and I looked at each other because there was this specific girl. She had on some low-rise jeans, and I could like see the crack on her butt. Her shirt was up here. It's not like it had covered the jeans or anything. And mind you, I'm in my blazer.
This is an interview for a job.
I'm in my blazer, skirt, like well prim and proper girl, clean and nice and well put together because I'm from Jamaica.
Yes.
And if you have an interview, you show up like you want the job. And so I was so put together. But then they made me feel like so overdressed. But they made me feel that way. But in my head, I'm like, this is me. This is how I would show up regardless. And so I could not, and I walked in and I realized that it wasn't just her. It was just like a general thing. They would when I actually got the job, because it wasn't really an interview for me. They had actually decided to like give me the job because I was more than qualified for the job. I just wanted to do something until I had all my like paperwork together. On Fridays I would be off, so I applied to be a substitute teacher so I could like feel out the system and see if it is something that I wanted. But the dressing in the workplace, I remember at one point I was like, we're not going to do this. It seemed like they just got out of bed and just came to work. And mind you, every day I'm showing up, even if I'm in a jeans and t-shirt, I'm put together. And I had like another guy, he was Jamaican as well. And we were the only two. Like you could tell that we were Jamaicans. We were the only two that had ourselves put together and looked like we were actually at work.
Yeah.
And so I remember I'm like, you have to put yourself together, because when you show up, before you even open your mouth, they see you and they automatically start to assume things about you based on your appearance.
Yeah.
Whether you can speak, whether you have sense or you don't have no sense, whether you're rich or you're poor, your appearance is important.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like,
yeah,
like, please get me out of this place. Number 3, being in the school system, I know that like now in Jamaica, it's like a little bit different. But I remember I called home. So I'm happy that I'm like here talking about culture shock. The first week of school, I heard how like teachers talk to the kids, and I heard how the kids talk to teachers and how they talk back, and just the student-teacher relationship on a whole, and I did not like it. I remember I called home to my friend. And I said,
this is not it. It's not it.
I said, listen, me no culture shock. My culture electrocuted. I have never forgotten that. Yes, I called my best friend. I said, B, them Pitney want me put my left hand on them bottom real bad, cause like, my students know now.
Yeah.
Like, we ain't going back and
right,
forth.
Right.
I say it's either you or me. I'm saying, no, who them I go choose?
Right.
I know you.
Right.
So we're not going back and forth. The door is right there. But we're not doing that. Because they're used to that with like their other teacher. So when they get a Jamaican teacher who's not going to talk, I'm just going to look at you like, and I'll fold my hands and I'm like, I'm ready when you're ready.
No.
Or if you want to spend lunchtime with me, that's fine, because me I eat my lunch. Me don't know about you. So those were the 3.
Yeah.
There's more, but those really stand out to me.
And I think the dressing is like, it's funny because I had a similar experience, because when I came here and I went to school, so for me, dressing, when you said it looked like they just rolled out of bed, I couldn't understand why people were wearing pajamas in class. Like, you would not be caught outside of a veranda, right? For people on the street see you in a nightie. Like, it was that serious. So I couldn't understand the transition between this is outside clothes. Then I realized that the US, you don't really have indoor and outside clothes. The lines are very blurry. So
there are no lines.
There are no lines. So I fully understand. But the thing is too is like you stand out and people are intimidated by it because they think that you're doing too much. But this is literally how you were raised. So they'll look at you like, why is she being so extra? Like, why are you being this? But this is you. This is literally your
At work, they call me Miss Jamaica.
And that is the whole reason why, is because they feel like you are just floating on above everybody else. And you're not. You're literally just being yourself, and this is the culture.
Yep.
But then what you said is important. Like, people look at you and they make assumptions. And no matter how you go around it, we are superficial. So if somebody walks in a suit, you're going to automatically start thinking about their abilities different from somebody else who not put themselves together.
Yeah.
And sometimes it correlates.
Yes.
Sometimes it does.
It does. Sometimes it don't, but majority of the times, yes.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, not necessarily looking at someone and like judging or saying what they do for a living or whatever. But I think that presentation is important.
Yeah.
And as a teacher, for me, as stern and as strict as I am, you can ask a kindergartner who I am.
Yeah.
Because they know who I am.
Yeah. And that's good.
And that's solely on the basis that I put myself together and then love pretty things.
It's glitter.
I have like 10 of them trying to hug me, some hugging my foot, knows not to run, but they love me just on the basis of me putting myself together. I remember I saw a teacher, she wore a tights, leggings, and a shirt. And I was at parent pickup, and I kid you not, I took her picture, and I sent it to Mom. I said, Mom, she wore this to work today.
Couldn't believe it.
Because I could not be, I'm like, what?
It's cultural. It's cultural. And then the education system, like, and we'll touch like a little bit more about this, but I think that there's like a command of respect that we have for elders. It's not even like only in the school setting. It's church, it's people in the community, it's anybody. That is just ingrained. Like, you don't talk back to an elder.
Yep.
Because somebody in the community, them are going to discipline you or them are going to bring a name back to your yard. Any one of these that you want to deal with. And you can see some of that in Jamaica now too. I think that maybe our era is a little different, but things are changing where you have to look upon them like, that's how you're talking to your grandma. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I think it's like they're just changing and certain values are not being
instilled anymore. Yes. So, and for me too, I think it has a lot to do with, I know that we used to have a lot of parents who had a lot of kids and have them when they're young, but at the same time, they had a family structure that would like help them with like all of those things. I think now it's like a lot of kids are having kids. The grandparents are younger, and so for them, that's not an important thing anymore.
Yeah, or just the community influence, because I couldn't do certain things and people in my community see it and don't try to drag me up about it.
Right.
Like, the community helps to raise you as well.
It takes a village, but not anymore.
Not anymore. And that's really important, because I feel like to be successful takes all of these parts. It's like discipline, respect, like all of these things come together. So we knew that you're not gonna reach nowhere if you behave like that. I think that's like subconsciously what it was.
Yep.
If you don't check these boxes as a human being, you're not gonna reach nowhere.
Nope.
And that's like subconscious.
Yeah. And you can't just walk around and be disrespectful. So because that goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah,
that goes a long way. And these kids these days, no. And so for me as a teacher, I knew that I had to model like all of those things for my students. So even the way I talk to my students, I make sure that I call them by their name. I'm not saying boy or girl, because I'm addressing you how I want you to address me. And I have those conversations with my kids. Like, I talk to them because they have nobody at home to. I teach where you would say in the hood.
Yeah.
So the kids that I teach are kids that live in that area.
In an environment.
One or two of the parents are in jail, or they're dead, or they're on drugs. So the only adults they get to have conversations with are the ones at school. And so for me, it is important for me to be a positive role model for my students. Like, they sometimes have to be like, no, you can't tell me that.
Yeah.
Because they just want somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, my husband is a teacher as well. We have stories for days when we come home. because they just want to talk and they have no one to talk to. So if as a teacher, I am not being that person that they can talk to, it means that as a society, as a community, we're failing the future. Because when they go home in the evenings, they see no one. They have nobody to talk to.
Yeah, that's good. And actually, I was just having this conversation with somebody that this week that they were saying like a lot of times school is an oasis for kids, and it's crazy to think that, because me never think like school is an oasis for me, because obviously there was an environment that was different. So that is really interesting. Like, you have a responsibility, a social responsibility as a teacher, not just to teach, but like as a figure that they can look up to, which is really important. So I don't think a lot of teachers do that though. So.
It is my, I take that very, very serious. Very, very serious. We're going to move on, but I had a student in my class. Well, she wasn't originally on my roster at the beginning of the year. She was on another teacher's roster, and she was acting up, and the principal decided that she was going to move her and put her in my class. And I was like, I was as upset as the child that I don't want the child in my class, because I know of the child's reputation. And so I was like, I don't want her in my class. And she didn't want to come in my class either, because she knows I'm stern and I'm not going to put up with her foolishness. And so the principal was like, Miss Spence, she needs you. I cannot put her in any other class other than yours, because this child needs you.
Right.
And so she came in and she was screaming, crying, because she didn't want to be in my room. And she walked in, and I said, you can cry, but you ain't going to cry in here. So you better sit, be quiet, pay attention. And so she hushed, and she sat there. She didn't do anything. I didn't mess with her, because I knew that she didn't want to be in my room. And so after days going by, we started to like have conversations. I'm telling her that she has to behave, and if you're in my room, you have to get your work done, and blah, 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 blah. And I paired her with like my A student in the class who was not on any foolishness.
Right.
And I put her to sit right by her, and so she would keep her in line. And when I tell you, this child is in middle school right now. My best friend teaches at that middle school. She found out that my best friend is there, and she's requested to be in my best friend's class. That child is like my child. She is like asking my husband, where's my sister? Where's my daddy? Because she calls me mommy.
Wow.
I remember one day she came and her hair was like all out, and she had a comb in her bag, and she was like, Miss Spence, my mom didn't have time to comb my hair this morning. I told her, give me the comb. I'm going to ask my teacher to comb it.
Wow.
And I took her in my office and I combed her hair, put it up in a bun. She had it for days. And you could not tell her anything.
Yeah.
That was the best thing
that happened, because it's the impact.
And we had a conversation, and I was like asking her like why she acts up and stuff like that. And she was like, nobody likes me. Like, it was deep.
Because nobody gives her the time to talk about herself. Or
Not
her
even
story.
the teachers before me.
Yeah.
Nobody gave her the time of day. She was like, nobody likes me. They say I'm black because she's dark skinned. But she's pretty. Her hair is so nice. And she's like, I'm going to cut my hair off and be a tomboy. I don't like this hair. I don't like me. I'm like, you are so pretty. Like, I put the mirror in front of her after I was done with her hair. And she was like, oh, my God. But for years, this child was told how she was black. Even the kids called her and so she would fight them.
Because it's
but
a trigger
no one,
for her.
yes, but no one took the time out to ask her why she was always getting into trouble. But that was the reason. The kids were always calling her names. But because she tend to act up, it's always their side of the story and not hers. And I was like, yes, you're black. I said, I'm black too. I'm just a lighter shade black than you, but you are beautiful.
Right.
And so for her, that was like an eye-opening moment. And I got her to settle down. She passed the FSA that year when she didn't the year before.
Yeah.
She passed the FSA that year. She was doing well in math. She was doing well in writing. When she went to 5th grade, it went back to square one because now they had to send her to me when I have time for her to talk to me.
Right.
She used to go to the next door neighbor teacher's class for, like, we have a block called MTSS for intervention reading. And she would go there. And I remember she was being disrespectful to the teacher. And I didn't talk to her for weeks. I said, we're not talking because if you disrespect her, you disrespect me because you're disrespecting an adult. And I remember when she couldn't take it anymore, she wrote me a letter. I have that letter today. She wrote me a letter and she made me cry my eyes out. She was like, I cannot stand that you are not talking to me. She said, you are like my mother.
Wow.
I talk to you about anything. She was like, Miss Spence, you remember when you combed my hair? And she was just like going on and on and on. And she was like, I apologize. I'm sorry. I will never disrespect an adult again. She writes me like every few weeks. She writes me, hey, my love, because that's how I would like talk to her. So
positive, yeah.
when I say that we are the bridge between a child going off on a limb and a child being successful, as adults, we have to think about the future and what we want that to look like for us because we're going to get old one day.
No, absolutely.
And they are going to be the ones who are in control.
Right. So you have to set that. And something that you said is very important. And I think it's like going back to why representation matters and why it's important to have people that look like us in spaces for children that look like us too. Because for her to have that experience with somebody who doesn't really understand and can't like give her the affirmation that she's beautiful and she's valuable, she's just going to end up as a statistic. And that's what happens. And I feel like in some ways, to a lesser extent, like in Jamaica, it happens in some respects. Like not everybody, because of like your circumstances, because teachers, as you know, in Jamaica, a lot of teachers do not get paid well enough to take care of their family. So subconsciously, I feel that in their mind, it's very stressful to think about your own family, your finances, everything else going on, and then showing up for kids. And so I feel like in some respects, sometimes some of those kids too, they fall by because the teachers don't even have the mental capacity to deal with
their own.
Yeah, so they're dealing with their ish, and I have to deal with the kids. So sometimes even growing up, and I have this thing where, because we can talk about colorism forever and all of that stuff, I have this thing where when I see a young, dark-skinned black girl, I tell her she's pretty. And I tell her she's beautiful because a lot of people never grew up hearing it, and it does something. Sometimes I go out of my way to do it, and they're like shocked and looking at me like, "You sure? Yeah, I'm talking to you." Because it's important if people like validate their experience in that way. Sometimes I feel like it makes a difference with just how they feel,
yes,
and how they relate to people. So it's important for you to have that role, and you're able to do that for her, because even if it's one person, like,
oh yes,
you've done your job.
Yes,
you know,
and they don't hear it enough, even
They
at
don't.
home from their siblings or their relative. They don't.
No.
Because she gets called that at home too.
That's what I'm saying. And if she has like siblings who don't look like her, because I can go into all of that, it's like a whole different story. Because I having these conversations with like my friends, like, you know, talk about colorism in Jamaica, all of that stuff. Kids in the community, kids in your family, you see so many of that, and people like subconsciously you feel like you're less than. you're less than and you didn't have the ideal traits to be successful. So we're going to get into the success piece of it, but I feel like what you're doing is so valuable and so impactful that even if it transcends beyond that, I'm going to talk about that, it'll still have the same impact, and that's where, you know, your purpose lies. So we talked about, you know, Jamaica, growing up, our culture, culture shock and all of these things, but I want to tap into like your new creative space that you've created. So your Instagram, YouTube, social media platform, like I can't click anywhere and I don't see a pop up somewhere. Like, so
girl is trending.
it's trending. Okay, Shansi as a trending girl, it's her. Okay, so how did you start your platforms? What made you decide I'm gonna start doing this now, and like take us back to like the beginning of it?
Okay, so Castiles was created this year, will be 6 years, yes. And being a lover of fashion, like this is not new. None of this is new. This has always been me. I've always been fashionable. I've always been into fashion and putting myself together. And so when I moved to the US, I was like more like on social media, and I started to follow like all of these like OG bloggers. And I didn't even know that that was a thing at that time. I was just following these people who were sharing their outfits, and I mean like I would follow like a list of them. And so every time I go out, someone would say, "You look good. Where did you get that?" And so my sister, she's been living here since she was 12. So she has a little bit more understanding than me. And she was like, "Sister, you should start a blog." I'm like, "What is that?" And she was like, you would have a website and you start to post your pictures on Instagram. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm going to do it. And then my husband got an understanding of what it was too, and he was like, you should. And I'm like, I kept putting it off until I was like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And so we bought a camera on QVC. I remember this. We bought a camera on QVC and we paid for it in like five different payments. We bought it, a Canon Rebel T6. I still have it. And we have no training whatsoever in using a camera. But one of his friends, he had a photography business, and so he came over one Sunday evening and he showed him like how to
The
settings and all of that, and we started to take the pictures. And I remember I put it out there on my Facebook page. I was like, if I start a blog, would you all like subscribe to it? And people were like, yes, because we like your style. Because I was just...
You were doing it before, so this was just like formalizing what you already naturally doing.
Right. Yeah. And so I remember I researched how to start a blog. I made my own website on WordPress. Like watch YouTube videos, and WordPress is one of the hardest blog sites. And so I made the website, and I remember my very first outfit. I went to a wedding, and I took the pictures. We played with them, edit them, and that was my first like blog post. And I put it out there. I've started a blog. Still don't have a clue what I'm doing, but you have to start somewhere.
That's important.
Yes, and so fast forward to almost year 6, because June will be year 6. I remember one of his friends was like, you should start a YouTube channel. I'm like, I don't even like hearing myself talk. I found every excuse in the book. I'm like, nobody's going to understand what I'm saying, because like my accent is really, really deep. Like
all the excuses in the book not to start it.
Even after me watching so many people's YouTube channel and subscribe to their YouTube channel, I thought that that's something that I could not do. And so he was like, that would be an extension of your pictures. You could he was like, start out, you don't even have to talk, just do a video of your outfit. I'm like, I don't like that. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
And so my sister too, she was like, start a YouTube channel. And so for my birthday one year, hubby bought me a camera, a vlogging camera. Like, you could have bought me something else.
No, because he saw the vision.
Don't God just put the right people?
I love it.
And
your partner is important in this.
And I had no choice at this point.
Actually, guys, hubby's here, so I'm gassing him up as well. He's off camera, but he's here.
I had no choice at this point. I had to put on my big girl panties, and you're gonna hear your voice over and over. And so I remember this. I started my YouTube channel 2.5 years ago, and again I put it out there on my Facebook page. If I start a YouTube channel,
they're
would
gonna
you
say
guys? Yes. And so I remember before shorts was a thing, I did a collaboration with a brand, and the video I had to do a video for a minute. And so I was like, just to start the channel, I'm just going to post the video on YouTube. Posted the video on YouTube. Right now, that video, I think, has over 200,000 views because it just went like
viral. And you just need one.
That was my very first video. And I just put it there as a placeholder. I was like, I'll take it down later. But I needed something to be there so that people can start to subscribe. And I was like, we're going to start the channel in a month.
Yeah.
So go ahead and subscribe and all of that stuff. And so I was like, okay, so it means that I got to do this thing. And so I was already buying clothes to like take pictures and stuff. And I just want people to know that starting out, you're going to be like, how am I going to do this? I am a full-time teacher. Like when I get home in the evenings, like my mental capacity is just go lie down.
Right.
Because I'm not physically tired, but I'm mentally tired. And so I use my teaching salary. Like, hubby, I used to try to come home before him to get the packages from the door.
That's hilarious.
Just so I don't get asked, you have another package?
The money is going into this investment.
Yes, you when it is something that you love, you have to realize that you have to put more than capital in it.
Yeah.
Because in order for you to make money, you have to spend money.
Please say that again.
In order for you to make money, you have to spend money, and trust me.
Yes.
I will leave that money, Miss Spence.
Yes. That is the key that I want people to also understand, is that you can start something, but in order for you to really see the results, you have to find a way.
Yes, you have to
put the resources in. So specifically for you, because you're doing fashion, so you have to buy the outfit.
Yes, because at that time I'm not getting any collabs. I'm trying to make a name for myself. I'm trying to build Castiles to the point where I don't have to buy outfit, or if I do, it is something that I love, or I don't have to buy outfits to create content. I am trying to create organic content so a brand can say, you did that and that's what we want.
Yeah,
because that's what they do now. Now that I've built that platform, a brand is like, okay, you did this, get ready with me reel. I want the same thing.
Right.
So you have to, how much do you want out of this? And I'm not talking in terms of like monetary. Yes, monetary is good, but you have to build a strong foundation. You have to put your all in it from the get-go.
Yeah.
When I found out that this could have been a thing, I was like already invested deeply in it because I loved it. We both are teachers, so we work during the week. So on weekends, we're shooting. I'm pulling 5, 6 looks shooting on the weekend because I have to stay consistent. Because in order for you to take me serious, you have to see that
See
I
it
am
all the
serious
time.
as well. I can't show up today and then for the next 2 or 3 weeks you don't see me anymore because you're gonna be like,
Yeah.
are you even trying to do
Right,
this?
right.
So consistency is key. Like in anything you do, it doesn't matter what it is. You have to be consistent. And so in order for me to be consistent, we had to sit down and create a plan. Even our daughter, she's like there with us. She's like she like sees something and she's like, you should do this, you should
That's
do
awesome.
that. And so it was like a family thing for me. My sister, she would like help me with outfits. She would buy me outfits.
I love that you had the family support and
Yes.
at some support, because sometimes when you start stuff, not everybody is self-driven. Sometimes you need a little, hey girl, you can do this, get up and do it. So it's very important and good for you that you have the
Yes.
support from your network.
I
That's good.
my mom, if she's buying me a gift, now I get what I want. But in the beginning, it would be something that I can use in
Your
my
real.
blogging content creator journey. No, I'd be like, I want this, and she would actually like get me that as a birthday gift or a Christmas gift. Before, I didn't have a choice. It would always be, you can use it to do this.
Yeah, that's great that everybody is invested in it. And what you said is really important, because I think, especially when you're coming from Jamaica and you're here for a while and feel stuck, because a lot of people are like, me not have no degree, me can't afford to go back to nursing school. All of these things are real factors.
Yes.
And a lot of people want an avenue. Like, how can I create some sort of income for my family and myself doing something that I actually love? So I think for you, what you did, you join us next time for part 2 with our interview with Castiles, where she's going to go into detail with how she was able to build a solid online brand, make good money, and also catch the attention of the Amazon executives to be able to design her own fashion brand and become one of the first Jamaicans to ever do it. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. This is the money episode.